time to kill. While the washing's on, I'm gonna make some sauerkraut. Simples. Stage 1 is to grate the cabbage, and I found it's easier just to grate the whole cabbage rather than cut it up. Now it is grated, we salt it and flavour it. Well, a cabbage about this size, probably like 1.5 kilos. I'm flicking salt everywhere. I use probably about four dessert spoons. Yeah. And then I'm going to take the lid off the chipotle, and I'm going to use, I don't know, probably about half a jar. This is like that's the one. And then all we do is mash it with the fingers, cover it, and leave it to set. And the salt helps draw out the moisture from the cabbage. You can see that as I'm starting to draw the moisture out, and then we cover it and leave it for 48 hours, 2 days, and that starts a fermentation before we set it aside in a jar, in a cupboard, for the real magic to happen. And you can see now that all that juice is starting to really come out. As I squirted everywhere. The cabbage is accepted. But you can see in between my fingers how much juice is coming up now. So yeah, that is, there you go, look, all the water is getting drawn out of the cabbage by said salt. And then we'll cover it and leave it. Find a clean tea towel and then cover, and we'll come back in 48 hours. Right then. As I said, we're going to package up the sauerkraut. So now the sauerkraut has been fermenting for 48 hours, 2 days. And get this whole place smells. It stinks of fermented cabbage. So I'm going to do it tonight because it's been a hot day in the board. So I'm going to whack all the cabbage in the kiln jar. Sauerkraut was different to the kefir in the fact that the sauerkraut, you can touch it with some metal and it's not going to kill it because the fermentation creates a bacteria, where the kefir grains, they're very sensitive. So I'm just going to fill up the jar. And I might have too much for the jar. And then, where's my little spoon? Here it is. Right, when it is filled up enough, I can just pack it all down with the spoon. And there's always a bit more space in the jar. And this, I think this is like 1.5 litre kiln jar. And there's about 1.5 kilos of sauerkraut here. So I'm going to get as much in this as I can. You don't want to fill it up too high, because you want enough space to cover it with water, because if any of the cabbage is touching the air, like I'll be honest with you, I think that's probably enough. If any of the cabbage is touching the air, then it will go off. And when it's in the actual cupboard, it's very good to kind of keep checking to see if any of the cabbage has floated to the top, because over the days and even weeks it can do that, and then because it's in a cupboard you might not see. So that is it. So you can see how long it takes to grate it and then do it. And then what I do is get a paperweight, drop the paperweight on just to hold it down, and then with some water I'm just going to cover the paperweight with water. And to be honest with you, that might, like sauerkraut, like bubbles and ferments at room temperature. So if you buy sauerkraut in a supermarket, it won't have any active bacteria in it if it is room temperature, because the glass jar would blow up. So what they do for the stuff in the supermarkets is they do it like this, then they superheat it and kill all the bacteria, so it tastes fermented, but it hasn't got any of the active bacteria in, if that makes sense. I can't see if I'm on the camera or not, but there we go. Then we take that, and I'm going to just do it all in a one shot. So we'll take sauerkraut, and then what I do is put it in the bottom cupboard. So sauerkraut will basically go in bottom cupboard, and then it will stay for a minimum 10 days, but then anything up to like 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever you want to do. So there we go. That is sauerkraut mission done. That is 2 weeks of sauerkraut fermentation. You can see kind of where it's bubbling out and getting active. I started leaving a bit of residue on it, so I just topped it up with water so the cabbage doesn't touch the air, and that'll carry on fermenting for a bit longer.